Hi guys, greetings and salutations. I am back in the garage with my awesome collection of shoes. There's some back there too, but oh well. This is Charles Chance, Fat Chance in Vegas. Like and subscribe if you want. Leave a comment. There are a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers that live here. It's like that, there's only maybe one that's like got in contact with me, which is cool. But anyway, the reason I am here is because I'm going to go through. I've already did my list of comedians that I just don't think are funny. I've already did that list, which is cool. And no, I don't have a fancy ring light. I have a light in the middle of the garage, and then supplemental light whenever the motion detector detects it, that lighting. I don't spend a lot of money on this production, guys. See? There you go. Now you get the warm, rich, you get the color. And this week we will preview, the Voodoo Force or Voodoo Ranger Tropic Force. It's a little bit, has a little bit of citrus in it, a little more citrus. And it still maintains that, 9.5 oomph. I think it's 9.5. Yeah, 9.5. Now, let's get into the meat. Comedians that I think are funny. This is going to take a while, guys. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know all of the history of these guys, but I do know like everything I've seen, read, and heard from them. I do like these guys. So, I can't go with like number one or, I can't go from first to last or whatever. I just, comedians that I, just really like. So let's go with Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg, totally. He was funny when nobody thought he was funny. I'm not going to do any routines or, anybody. You have to look him up. Mitch Hedberg, very funny guy. He was very dry, kind of one of those things where it's like, an escalator isn't broke. It just becomes stairs. That's brilliant. But Mitch Hedberg, he's the way to do observational humor that's funny. Jerry Seinfeld, is kind of like, why do they call it Ovaltine? It's an O. It's round. That kind of a deal. But Mitch Hedberg, he's a comedian that if you put on any of his videos, always makes me laugh. He was in I think Dogtown Z Boys, whenever they're buying the uh, Cadillac wheels, Mitch Hedberg was in that movie. Uh, I don't know if it was Dogtown Z Boys or I don't know. You guys, there's two movies that are about that. Okay, next one. George Carlin. Do I need to say more? George Carlin. George Carlin, very early years, he was just, it was whatever. He would just, hey, how's this? This is that. And, it's supposed to be funny. No, until he started, kind of getting like real life political. Not political as in left or right, but political is like, the top don't like the bottom. It's like there's a club, and you're not in it, kind of a deal. I can't do justice to his routines, but George Carlin, he connected with you. Oh, wait. Another guy I thought of. I'll pin him in right now. There. Okay. He's kind of in the same vein. Similar to my next comedian, Lewis Black. Lewis Black, angry guy. He got into comedy very later, in his later years. He's still around. The only comedians that I've talked about that are not with us is Mitch, which I check off, and George Carlin. Mitch Hedberg, he liked a little bit of the, he likes stuff. That's just to be safe, which is cool. But George Carlin, I think he just aged out. Next guy. Oh, Mitch Hedberg, George Carlin. These are not. It's not a list of 1, 2, 3s because I can't make that list. Everybody is the greatest at certain things that they do. My next guy on I just wrote down comedians as I thought of them. But next guy, Doug Stanhope. Doug Stanhope, love the guy. He lives in the wonderful town of Bisbee, Arizona, which Doug always makes it seem like it's like kind of, like a crappy border town, but actually Bisbee's, it's kind of an artsy scene and, very, Bisbee's actually pretty nice. Doug probably wouldn't want me to say that because Doug and Bingo like to live alone. But Doug Stanhope, he's pretty matter of fact. His comedy, just, here it is. I can't even give examples. I push myself away from just watching all these guys. It would take for a long time. But it's like what makes him memorable. Doug Stanhope is like, he's a tell it how it is guy. And I do love the fact that he gets his, he does, he gets his suit from a thrift store. Why not? And he lives in Bisbee, Arizona. And, it's, he don't live in a mansion. He's just a dude. He's just a working comic. And, I hope he has millions and stuff socked away. Sorry, I'm going to jolt you guys. Next guy, Dave Chappelle. Man, Dave Chappelle. Yeah, totally. It was like I watched him. Beautiful. The most absurdist comedy. I like South Park. I like Dave Chappelle. It's like, Clayton Bigsby. That is the funniest shit ever. A black guy who is blind and he's a racist. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Not to mention on the Chappelle show, him and I will connect that to another comedian, Charlie Murphy. How the play works off is like him and, playing basketball, is like with Prince and Clayton Bigsby and what else? Rick James. Rick James and Charlie Murphy. Charlie Murphy's, that was his story. But Dave Chappelle, excellent Rick James. Those Chappelle show. Man, they should have gave in with whatever demand that Dave wanted, in my opinion. He just asked for basic things. From my understanding, you guys in the know, you guys can tell me. But the way it worked out is like Dave Chappelle was wanting, like, hey, I want, his characters. He wanted his characters. It's kind of like a comic book thing where, back in Marvel DC days, if you create a character for them, they own the character. You create a character for them. The artist is like, whatever. Okay. Well, thank you for working for us. Now we own whatever. That's how you get all the Jack Kirby shit. But yeah, that's comic and comics. Don't worry about that shit. I'm confused. Let's go to the next person. And I'm just hitting the highlights, guys. I'm sorry. Because I know we're already 13 in, and I'm only a little bit down. Jim Breuer. Early on, I didn't like Jim Breuer. I thought he was too animated. I thought he was just too goofy. It was like, was that one with Dave Chappelle and Jim Breuer, it was like where they're smoking weed. It was like, like, can't even remember the damn movie. You guys will put it down there and be like, oh, how could you forget Half Baked? Half Baked. That was the movie. It was kind of funny, but, and I like Jim Breuer, but he's just sometimes a little too animated, if that makes sense. It's like watching Joe Rogan, on stage is like, Joe's like, he's not doing a flow. I mean, he's trying to do a flow of like comedy, and then he's like, fucking a chair or whatever. Is like, to me, okay, that's not funny. There's certain comedians that can pull it off, but not really. Is like, I'm thinking a coked out Robin Williams. I'm thinking, Jim Carrey. Those guys are just too, are trying to do the, Jim Carrey, the firehouse guy. Yeah. Okay. Right. You can do whatever. That's not my type of comedy. So Jim Brewer, he's on the edge of that, the Robin Williams, Jim Carrey thing, but he's still, whenever he goes deep and he's actually very thoughtful, he's funny, and then he can like lead off on that. But that's my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, and go fuck yourself. Next guy. Mixed issues with him. Do that little check. Shane Gillis. I may need smoke for this. People remind me, like, oh, you do like cigarettes. Like, well, I don't have any Zen, nicotine, whatever. Don't have any, hadn't went down the street to, Thrive and got me, weed edibles where I could chill. I'm just working on, publicly available alcohol and nicotine. But anyway, Shane Gillis. He's actually a very good comedian. Things that he has integrity. One, integrity. He didn't go to Saudi Arabia. Man, that was like one of those things where I was like, respect. But does he really need to? I mean, in all honesty, I don't think Shane Gillis needed Joe Rogan to, boost him in his Rogan sphere. It's like, Shane Gillis is actually genuinely intelligent. He thinks, is like, if you watch his other stuff, he talks about history and other things, and it's like it all leads into his comedy, and you're like, the only thing is like, Bud Light had to pay him a buttload of money to keep supporting Bud Light. It's like, and Bud Light's one of those things where it's like, yeah, whatever. Dylan Mulvaney, whatever. People freak out. Like, yeah, Bud Light is just like, man, that's like summer beer. It's like when you're hot and you're sweaty, and it's like water's a better choice. But what's the next best step to water? A Bud Light. You can drink 3 Bud Lights, and that's like, it's like drinking water. My opinion, don't take that as gospel. It's not like you're going to Oktoberfest and drinking a Hefeweizen, a good strong German beer or whatever, which is totally different. As I take a sip from my 9.5 APV. Yeah, whatever. Now take a word from our sponsor as I light a nicotine device. Da, da, da. The girl from Ipanema goes walking. All right. So Shane Gillis, totally nice guy. Yeah, got a shit ton of money from Bud Light. That's cool. I like Shane Gillis. Okay, next guy I gotta check off is, these guys are keeping track, Louis C.K. Holy shit, we're 21 minutes in. Okay, Louis C.K. Totally funny. I loved his shows. Louis, hilarious. Watching him go to the cellar in New York and, whatever. That would actually also lead to Pamela Adlon. You guys will know I think she's very funny, and Pamela Adlon thinks she's funny too. Louis C.K. flash his wiener, in front of people or in front of, with permission, I guess. I don't know how that shit works. I never had the urge to whip my dink out and be like, oh, hey, check this, as they're driving or, existing in life. I don't know how that works. It's like, I must be a weirdo, but but yeah, Louis C.K. He's, at least stuff up till, I haven't watched super recent stuff of his. How he's connected to Pamela Adlon. I know they're connected somehow, but I do like Pamela. There's very few women in comedy that just make me fucking laugh. Especially, it's like, I think Pamela had on FX, I think she had a series on FX. Can't remember the name of it. You guys, of course, will always down below be like, oh yeah, that was such and such. Was it Baskets? No. Baskets. Very good. Liked it. Shit. I don't know what else to say about Louis. I think he's funny. I like his comedy. I've got a lot of comedy in my head that, I just have a bad sorting system. Next one on my checklist, Charlie Murphy. Rest in peace. God rest his soul. Charlie Murphy, in my opinion, was way funnier. A raconteur, a storyteller than Eddie Murphy. Charlie Murphy he always nailed it, especially with his Rick James on the Chappelle Show. Dave Chappelle just knew, is like, man, Charlie Murphy. Oh, he's funny. Especially that pimp, the pimp one, where, you know, not the Pimp Olympics. It was the Pimp something, you know, it was like they all got together. But Charlie Murphy, yeah, very funny. And, you know, peace, Charlie Murphy. Next one, that'll, not surprising, Ricky Gervais. This guy, he is my, Ricky Gervais. I like him. I like his attitude. He is funny, especially how he, you know, if you guys watch any Brit shit with, you know, him and Carl Pilkington, him and his, Ricky and his buddy, God, I can't remember his name. Of course, you guys will know, and you'll tell me down below. But him and his buddy, they were just, they would send Carl off, Carl Pilkington, and, you know, send him around the world to, like, go to, you know, places. And Carl, you know, Carl never, like, really ventured outside of, you know, England, you know, his actual, you know, he wasn't in London, but, you know, just his little enclave. And then, you know, they, Ricky and his co-writer, his co-conspirator, you know, creator of The Office. And I'm telling you, I like The American Office. It's okay. But I am a fan more of the British Office. But guess what? Ricky Gervais got paid. Ricky Gervais, he always tells Hollywood, you know, sit down, shut the fuck up, take your, you know, accept your award. We don't want to hear your politics. We don't want to hear this, you know, just accept, move along. Thank your mom, you know, thank your parents, thank your God, thank your this, and then go on. To me, that demands respect. Or not demands it, but, you know, it gets respect. So we'll move on from Ricky. And boom. Next person, we're taking a 180. Oh, 180 that people will wonder about, because it's not necessarily about the comedy. Because this is Jamie Kennedy. And for those who don't know, Jamie Kennedy, he was in a couple of movies, look, I'm doing this out of my freaking noggin, so, he did a couple movies, but what Jamie Kennedy is known for is the worst movie you could ever have on your resume. Son of the Mask. There you go. Son of the Mask. The Mask, the sequel to The Mask, which, of course, you guys will already know. I'm not a Jim Carrey fan. Just not. Don't think he's that funny. He's just, I just not a Jim Carrey fan. Also, not a Drew Carey fan. Don't think he's that funny. But we're talking about Jamie Kennedy. But what I do like about Jamie Kennedy is I think the dude owns it. I think he knows is like, look, this is shit. He has his little studio. He does these podcasts. It's cool, and I respect that. Don't think he's funny that much. He has some good ones now and again, but if any of the comedians that I've mentioned, want to talk to me, like, sure, I'll talk to you. And if you're Mitch Hedberg, Bill Hicks, George Carlin, any of those, if you guys can come back from the dead and talk to me, that would be really super awesome. But anyway, not to disrespect the dead, and I'm sorry. But Jamie Kennedy seems like a stand-up guy. The next one, Rob Schneider. Wow, that's going to get a lot of, like, Rob Schneider, not funny. Rob Schneider, oh, he's funny. Rob Schneider is kind of just whatever. It's like, whatever. He's the, pet gigolo, gigolo, yeah, okay. It was okay. Later in life, he's just, just pretty much said, fuck it. Here's my beliefs. Here's what I am. Is like, calling out Hollywood. That's Rob Schneider. I like the guy. A lot of stuff I think is humorous, but that's okay. Rob Schneider, okay guy. Next guy, Rodney Dangerfield. Boy, Rodney Dangerfield. Wow, he was a late in life, one of those guys that just came out and I always thought he's funny. Is like his stand-up, especially if you can get a hold of his, when he's doing like, small clubs. He's pretty damn, he's always on point. He got successful and he started liking, some things. Which is cool if you watch Caddyshack. You can tell. And if you guys can't tell, it was like, take me to certain parts of town and I, here in Vegas, and I can show you. But it's all good. Rodney Dangerfield, hilarious. Especially, it was like whenever they reined him in and, put him on and, Rodney Dangerfield. I like him. Now we got another one. Man, first of all, we're going to have an interlude. We've got to have a, hold on. Have to have a drink. And I do have to have the motion light come on, because this is a big, this is a big advertiser. And they gave me a budget, but they didn't give me a big budget. So they didn't even give me a script. But hold on. I'm still here, guys. All right, hold on. Okay. Now, you ready? This is my first paid commercial ever. And I've got to do the voices too, so stand back. Hello, guys. This is Charles Chance with the foreskin hoodie. I know it looks like a regular hoodie, but this is the foreskin hoodie. This hoodie has a zipper and a skin that covers the head just like a real deal foreskin. Now, this is where I'm supposed to zip it up. Hold on. I know, it's horrible. I'm trying to insert the nub into the thing. Like, it's not working. Oh. There. Now witness the power of the foreskin hoodie. Better watch your beard. That shit gets caught in there. Tears it up. Oh, just like that. Fuck. That hurts. There you go. That's foreskin hoodie. Now, it's loose enough, as you can see, to ride your body, just like a genuine foreskin. It's foreskin. It's foreskin hoodie. It's real nice, and it's snug, but a little loose, just like foreskin. Now, fortunately, this foreskin hoodie does not generate cheese, but it does have pockets where I'm sure you could store some cheese. But now on the foreskin hoodie, as you can see, it's all zippered up and it's protecting and keeping you warm, and it's It's movable, just like foreskin. You're gonna get included with the foreskin hood, just like a real foreskin. The hoodie has a foreskin hood, just like your foreskin. And guess what? Just like a foreskin, it leaves an opening for your little mouth. So, come on down and buy the new Foreskin 4.0 hoodie that treats your body just like foreskin. Thank y'all. All right, guys. Ugh. That was my, that was the ones that, that was my sponsor. Thank my sponsor for the Foreskin 4.0 hoodie. Sorry, guys. I have to do sponsors, because I don't make no money. I'm sorry. Okay, now let's get back to work. I think I was leaving on Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield, there's tons of comedy, all you guys, whatever. You guys know better. But next couple of people, Bill and Brian Doyle Murphy, Bill Murray, Bill and Brian Doyle Murray. Okay. Bill Murray, y'all know him, Saturday Night Live alum. Brian, he was always the accent on, Bill and, any of his movies and stuff like that. And Brian is a great writer. Bill Murray was always, I like those guys. I don't have much to say. I've never watched, I've never went down to their country club. Always know Caddyshack 1. Caddyshack 1 was the one. The rest of the people there, okay. Don't know. Next one. This is going to get a lot of heat. And it's going to get a lot of heat. Roseanne Barr. I love her comedy. I think she is funny. I think, she the longer time has went on, the more I actually, like her comedy. She's went through a lot. you have to watch her old stuff. And you can watch an evolution of Roseanne. It's like kind of like a Hollywood revolution of things. It's like, you know, is like you know, I like watching her podcast. Think it's very funny. My Secret Soldier Danger Man admission. Oh God, I'm gonna get so much shit. I've always had a crush on her. I just, you know, that's just my kink. Sorry. You know? I crush on Roseanne Barr. Oh well. Roseanne Barr's, you know, unless you guys send this to her, be like, oh, this weirdo greasy guy. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get my, you know, not looking my best. You know. But hey, I'm not Tom Arnold. Tom Arnold. Totally. He lands in the not funny. He was a hang around. You know, if you guys know biker culture, you know, there's like the hang around is like very bottom level. That was Tom Arnold. He got on with Roseanne, you know, at a point and whatever. You know, but yeah, sorry guys. I've always had a crush on Roseanne Barr. You know, I think she's funny and, you know, whatever. Which leads to the next female. Boink. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm looking through my thing. Pamela Adlon. Yeah, she's also a crush. Obviously. And next one we're going towards is Sarah Silverman. Oh, wow. A lot of the right people, or a lot of people on the right. You know? But, oh my God, she's a super lib. I don't care. She's attractive. I mean, to me. You know, everything's to me. Everybody's like, oh, well, you know, attractiveness and this and this, and it's all objective. We know, or subjective. Yeah, we know how it works. You know, but I always liked Sarah Silverman. I always thought she's funny. Things go off the rail when it's like, it's political. Like, oh, whatever. You know, I loved her in, I love Sarah in Comic Books Man. I liked her in quite a few things. It's my same infatuation with Sean Young from Blade Runner, and even later. I think, you know, total beautiful, even at her age. Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, you guys are getting the thing here. You know, you have dark hair, and, you know, yeah, you probably get my weakness. Sarah Silverman, yeah, very funny. Yeah, whenever, you know, I think she's pretty funny. She does great sketch comedy. She does great skits, which Dave Chappelle hates. They're not skits. Like, yeah. Okay, well, short little things. Okay, let's move on, y'all. Glory's got that. Yeah, I have a crush on her. Roseanne Barr. What else? Oh, yeah. Pamela Enlon. Boom. Yeah. Crush on her. Sarah Silverman. Yeah. Crush on her. Roseanne. Boom, boom. Okay. Next guy. Next guy is a blatant life. Believe it or not. Go figure. Lewis Black. Who can not like Lewis Black? I mean, maybe. I guess most of you can. Lewis Black is... Man, that dude has been on the road and he's been places. I mean, like St. George, Utah. If you guys been to St. George, yeah, okay. For those who you know, or for those who don't know, here's how it works. Here's Nevada. Oh, okay. Nevada is here. Utah is here. Nevada, sin and everything bad. Utah, Mormon. Right there. St. George, Utah. It's on the border of Mormonville and the debauchery of Nevada. That's just the way it is. He told a story about how he went to St. George and is like, it was basically as hell. You'll have to look it up. I'm not gonna spoil his gig. But do go to Lewis Black's website or whatever. And I'm asking you, go to all these people's web pages and give them the money. I'm not going to reenact everything, but I'll just tell you, it's worth a taste. Every comedian that I've mentioned, it's worth a taste for you to go and give them a, you don't have to subscribe, at least give them a like. Say, hey, that was funny. And if you think it's funny, otherwise just give them a thumbs down, Preference. So now, let's see where we're at. Okay, we're down there. Stephen Wright. Okay, Stephen Wright. The monotone, fuzzy-headed, comedian, is like, I don't know how bottles work. Bottles work like they hold liquid. It's like, why do they call it liquid? It's because it's wet. Who decided that liquid was wet? Maybe it could be dry. that kind of humor. I like it because my pathetic interpretation is not, it's not funny. But Stephen Wright, more funny than me. Next guy, Adam Carolla. Oh, Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla. If you guys been on the internet for more than a minute, you know Adam Carolla. He has a little podcast, and believe it or not, he comes to Vegas, and he does a set out at shit. I don't even know what hotel it is, but it's Jimmy Kimmel's little club, which is fine. But Adam Carolla, he's like regular dude comedy that is like, you know, I wake up and, you know, I go through my day and be like, oh, like Adam Carolla's like talking about, he can talk about, you know, Home Depot and, you know, all the things going on in Southern California, how, you know, they're not getting no, you know, permits. You know, they're not going to be able to build or do or whatever. It's like, not necessarily comedy. Is like his comedy at the club is a lot better. But I'm not going to spoil any of that. You have to find that. But I like Adam Carolla. He's a real guy. He's a real dude. You know? Who cares if he has more money than fucking God? You know, he's like sitting there and be like, yeah, whatever. I own, you know, who's that one guy? You know, I own James Dean's vehicle. I own, you know, Steve McQueen's, you know, I own Steve McQueen's car, and I own, like, yeah, no shit. But guess what? Still a regular guy. Next one's not so much of a comedian versus political commentator that I actually like. It just lives in a real world. Check him off. Mark Dice. Mark Dice. Oh, man. He is... Man, he's hated by the left. And as it seems now, he's hated by the right. He pretty much seems independent to me. But I like Mark Dice. He just tells you how it is. He does like Trump. You know, fine and swell. That's cool. He likes Trump for the things, for most of the things that Trump has done. But he does push back. At least I think. You know, I don't think he's, you know, I don't think he's like totally whatever. You can't write him off. You know, he seems okay. Let's see. Arch said Bill Hicks. Norm Macdonald. Did I say Norm Macdonald? Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald. Man, if you didn't enjoy Weekend Update where he was just talking about OJ, just OJ. Yeah, that's all he's talking about. OJ. Killing his wife, allegedly. Which now you can say, yeah, OJ killed his wife. Whatever. OJ's dead. Yeah. But anyway, Norm, he was fighting, that dude was fighting cancer and shit. And he didn't want anybody to know. And that was, kind of like, whatever. So I like Norm Macdonald. Boink. Already. Let's see. Let me see. Still working here. I'm looking at my list. Lewis Black. I had Lewis Black twice. We already got him. Yes. Next guy. Andrew Dice Clay. The Dice Man. I always loved Andrew Dice Clay. Hilarious. Andrew Silverstein. The guy. He was basically Pee Wee Herman, tough guy. A guy that just, that was his persona. It was like Andrew Silverstein, different guy. Andrew Dice Clay, his character, which I like. Until it gets to a point where they're like, but, Andrew Dice Clay, I do like him and the whole, now we're going into 3 splits. We have Andrew Dice Clay, and then Jay Moore. And then we have Jay Moore stealing, or, the story about Tracy Morgan from, I can't even remember the comedian that he stole the Tracy Morgan story, where he's smoking, PCP, but usually you guys will tell me. So I like Andrew Dice Clay. Love Ford Fairlane. Always thought it was hilarious. Sorry, other things are going on in the background. It's like Andrew Dice Clay is like, man, his character is like spot on. It's hilarious. Very Jersey. That's about it. I think I'm almost done. Yeah. It's like, who's that female from, she was in, who's the woman that plays Marge Simpson's voice? Wait, no, that's not her. Man, there's the one is like, God, I'm gonna have to do a part 2. It's like there, spent an hour 5 minutes on comedians I like. I didn't give you much depth, and I'm sorry, guys, but whatever. Like, remember, I do want you to buy the Foreskin 4.0. It'll hug your shaft like a rug. And if shaft, that means you, then yes, it will. And then head, if that means your head, that Foreskin will just pop right on over. But it don't make cheese. Peace out, guys. Peace out. Fat Chance, Charles Chance. I hope this was funny.